Welcome back to another episode of We Roguelike It Ranking, and welcome back to Science. I'm your host, Boston PhD, DDS.
I don't remember.
You're not DDS.
MD.
You're not DDS.
Doctor of Boston.
Who knows?
Moonpier.
If memory serves, I am. Wait, was I MD? Because it makes sense. I don't bloody know.
Musum was MD.
We need to write this stuff down. I almost swore
know.
there. But
That's what I said last time, and I didn't. Hey.
Yeah. Go back. And
I'm Boston. Moonpier, Monkey Senior.
Yep.
Hopefully you just listened to our We Roguelike It episode for Dicey Dungeons, sort of wrapping up. If not, go listen to that one, and then go listen to that first, and then come back. We're going to rank. We're going to put Dicey Dungeons into our giant list. But got to ask our questions that we normally ask here, because we like wrapping up the whole thing here. Now that we've done our 4 weeks, we're going to sort of wrap up the whole business. Talk about what sort of our overall thoughts about Dicey Dungeons. I'm going to start with you, Monkey Senior.
All right. It's a great game. First and foremost, I really like the aesthetics of the game. It's like a game show where you're in hell and you get turned into dice, and you use dice to defeat these monsters, and like it's the writing's pretty good. It's always pretty funny.
Yeah, and thankfully there isn't too much writing. Like it's a very succinct game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like the game was marketed as a roguelike, kind of like puzzle time, right? And I feel like each run or each episode is very much a puzzle where all the pieces are just shifted around. It's not super randomized. Like there's no huge loot pool where like you might not see something one run to another. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. It's not like Isaac where it's like huge amount of items and you probably will not see the thing you want.
And it's not like, oh, I failed episode 3, so let me try again. Maybe I'll get a better set of equipment dropping that will help me fly through this. It's like you gotta figure it out with the tools they give you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the variation in the game is very heavily reliant on the characters rather than the equipment themselves. And like it's not bad, it's just different from what I guess we're used to with like games like Isaac or like the other games we've played in on the show. That being said, once you get to the last episode, like I was talking about in the last episode, once you get to that last episode, it opens up, or it feels like it opens up. I've played like 3 or 4 runs, but it feels like maybe not a completely different game, but it's very, very different run to run, at least.
Like that's where the roguelike part sits.
Exactly. It's less.
Well, you mentioned in the last
roguelike.
Yeah, you mentioned in the last episode, like maybe the first 5 episodes of a character is kind of the tutorial and learning how to get around some of these the tricks the game will play on you and the different modifiers, positive and negative, that'll give you. And then once you hit episode 6, it's like, all right, well, this is where we're going to mix all this stuff together and kind of hit the randomization. Yeah.
So, yeah. As far as playing it after this, I think I will, but mostly while I'm watching something else, like while I'm watching YouTube or something, or
this it reminds me very much of Elite Dangerous, where Elite Dangerous is a game that I play while I'm listening to something, because you can't watch something else while you're playing Elite Dangerous, because if you do that, you're likely to crash into the side of a space station and kill yourself. Whereas this feels very much like I can take 2 minutes to not look at it and just click and drag the dice where they need to go, kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas, like having that second screen experience, to use the marketing hype terms, with this game feels about right. It feels like it's one of those really good games where it's like, yeah, I'm sitting here, I'm watching Giant Bomb or YouTube or watching some show, and I'm just gonna, play some Dicey Dungeons while I wait.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a big part about, I think, why it will be very successful on Switch and mobile devices, is you can really easily do that while you're watching TV, you're hanging out with some people, you don't need to, and that's not to say it's not an engaging game, but you don't need to engage with it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Moon, what are your final thoughts on Dicey Dungeons?
I mean, pretty much what Monkey said. I think it plays well. I think, to my own fault, I kind of correlated this with Hearthstone, and how it's like you have to think ahead of the game in order to be able to be successful at it, which is a major failing for mine. I'm a very instinctual kind of player. It's like, no, I could have killed him 2 turns ago. I just wasn't paying attention, and I could have just finished this fight 2 turns ago, but no, I'm an idiot, so I didn't. Right. I like that aspect of it. The art in the game is like super simple but super charming. Like, I think that's
I really dig
that gives it like its charm, is like all of the additional artwork in the game is like the stupid kill screen animations and stuff like that. All like when you kill someone and they talk, and like the woman who takes a selfie, and the stupid radio who makes some stupid pun about electricity, like that stuff is all super duper charming. I don't know if I will continue playing this, but I will definitely keep it installed. This is one of those games that I will have there for when I'm trying to like make myself go to sleep or go to bed or something, or get tired and wind down. It's a very good wind down game because it's minimal loss. If you mess something up, it's 6 floors, it's no big deal. You can do an episode in like 20-30 minutes if you power through it, kind of thing. So it's going to allow me to have that thing on my system that will allow me to do it. All in all, like, I actually enjoyed this a lot. It was a very stress-free experience, despite being a roguelike, which by their very definitions tend to be stressful to play. Especially compared to what is coming up. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very stress-free experience.
Yeah. Not a lot to add on top of what you guys are saying. For me, I will play more of it, but I don't think I'm going to play more of it now, especially because it's the middle of November. But when it comes to iOS and when it comes to Switch, I think that's definitely a platform where I can get really deep into it and finish all the episodes and do all this stuff. Like, I think those platforms are going to be more suited for me to do run over run and try and complete as much as I can. And I have a lot of other stuff to finish before Game of the Year time. Oh, yikes. So,
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. So yeah, Dicey Dungeons, real good though, as I was expecting. But now we come to the science portion. Sort of figuring based on our discussions, this is probably a top 10 game. Any disagreements there?
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So we come to the questions that I always enjoy asking. Is Dicey Dungeons better than Galaxy?
Well, it's got a control scheme that everybody can use, so yes.
All of us can click and drag.
So, yes.
Yeah, I would agree. Is Dicey Dungeons better than Prey Moon Crash?
Yeah. It's a more realized, it's not more realized, but it's a well-realized, completely unique, individual kind of experience. I like Prey Moon Crash. I think it's great. I think it has some very interesting concepts. Dicey Dungeons is
not as cohesive.
Yes, Dicey Dungeons is probably the better package out of them.
Yeah. Is Dicey Dungeons better than Dungreed?
For me, yes.
I don't know, because I really, really like Dungreed. Dungreed did have a lot more randomization than Dicey Dungeons.
True, yeah.
And I don't know.
I think for me, I would say Dicey Dungeons is better than Dungreed. I think they're both close, but I feel like Dicey Dungeons is a little bit more interesting and unique. Dicey Dungeons is a 2D pixel-based run-over-run randomized roguelike. Like, it's not bad. I really enjoyed it, but I think when you look at Dicey Dungeons, sure, it's sort of a dungeon crawler and it's a roguelike, but the whole presentation and the whole storyline and how each character is so fundamentally and hugely different from each other, I think that for me pushes it over Dungreed.
I can agree with that. And I think I think Dicey Dungeons would be better to like recommend to like someone coming into
the old quote unquote starter game. Like
yeah, Dungreed is absolutely not. That's like a 400 level roguelike. It's like you got to know a lot about the subgenre. Okay, is Dicey Dungeons better than the Swords of Ditto classic?
Yes.
That the moon is making the sound that my brain is making, which is like,
Yes, just. Like, for me, it's just better than it.
Yeah.
Purely in the fact that I like Swords of Ditto. It's a well-realized world. It controls great. It looks great. It feels good to play. But there's very little variety when you know what you like. Like, that random element kind of gets taken out of it a little bit, especially when you get to the point where you can, like, carry over, like, you unlock enough people in that game to carry over the skills that you like, and specifically the toy that you like, and you can carry that thing over to the next run, and you're just like, well, okay, now I'm starting really well because I've got the super-duper powerful item. Like,
And I think for me, Dicey Dungeons, I like the art style of Swords of Ditto, but I think Dicey Dungeons has more charming art content. Like, I think the enemies are way more interesting than Swords of Ditto. Like, Swords of Ditto is like, fight slimes and roly-polies and stuff like that.
Stupid.
But I think
the stupid axes who kill me all the time.
Yeah, and I think Dicey Dungeons has like a witch who's on a broom, but she's too interested in texting and browsing to really fight you that much. It's like that's fun.
Yeah, and like everyone seems to have decks that are built around their character types. Like,
that's true.
You get the stupid wizard who has the spell book, who you don't realize exactly how like the spell book that is that you can use yourself until you're the witch. It's like, yeah, okay, you've got 6 moves and you pull 1 dice every move or 2 dice every turn, and you stick them in these spells that you always have. Like, it kind of makes sense.
Or like the cowboy has 2 6-shooters, so you feed dice into an equipment and it spits out 2 6 die that he can feed into stuff. It's just like, cool. Yeah, all right. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. It goes over.
Okay. Yep. All right, is Dicey Dungeons better than Darkest Dungeon, the DDs fighting against each other? What do you think?
I would say yes.
I would say yes because of
the rule.
The question we always ask when things get tight: which one is a better roguelike?
I think Dicey takes it over Darkest.
Yeah.
Okay. Shorter.
I think
runs.
they both have. I think they both have really great positives. Like, both have a great art style, both have great story and all that stuff. But I think from a roguelike standpoint, with that that'll beat it.
Yeah.
Okay, is Dicey Dungeons better than 20XX? Vastly different games.
Yes.
Like, this is what's really tough.
In my opinion, yes. I don't know if you guys will share this opinion or not, because I don't like the Mega Man games. I've never played them. I have no investment in that series at all. So while I liked 20XX, it's a really solid roguelike platformer. That is the hardest roguelike to pull off, in my opinion. Like,
100%.
Like, pulling off a roguelike platformer is a nightmare, because if your controls are not literally pixel perfect, then that's a cause for problems. And 20XX did a lot of really good stuff, like a lot of genuinely great things. But I definitely prefer the gameplay of Dicey to 20XX.
And I think one of 20XS's problems is the loot pool is fairly large, but I think the variety run over run, it has the problem that we run into a lot with roguelikes, where it's like, well, I have my build I really like, so the faster I can get to that build, the happier I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think Dicey Dungeons does have a bit more variety. Like you said, the 20XX items only really change your base stats, but whereas in Dicey Dungeons, like the equipment does very different things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the equipment is your attacks. Like there's no base attack in the game where it's like, oh, I'm just going to throw a dice at them and then that'll do damage. It's like, no, you have to have something on your board to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I can agree with that. So is Dicey Dungeons better than Risk of Rain?
And for me, this is where it stops.
Okay.
I think as much as Risk of Rain lies, to go back to that old classic.
Let's never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Tattoo it on your arm.
Yep.
Don't believe Risk of Rain's lies.
Yes. Get that fountain pen out, the little quill that does the scars in the back of your hand, to bring back the Harry Potter references here.
There you go.
Like, I Must Not Tell Lies is Risk of Rain's number one problem. Other than that, like, Risk of Rain is a fantastic game. Like, I don't know how they did what they did with the look that they've got, especially considering if I'm right, wasn't it just like a Game Maker game originally as well?
A Game Maker and like 3 people.
Yeah, like,
yeah,
it's a ridiculously good game. I think Dicey stops here because I think Risk has got that perfect combination of a whole bunch of items, a whole bunch of randomization to it. You can have a really great run and a really, really terrible run.
Mm-hmm.
And the runs can be over in like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like, if you get a good run, you fly through it. If you get a bad run, you die real quick. So it works out.
Yeah, you fly into the grave.
Exactly. So I think it works out about the same each way. Like, it's not too long, it's not too short, but the content and character selections are all there for the different play styles that you might want to play as.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Risk, it stays below Risk for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. And I feel like Risk has that I guess I want to say classic roguelike thing of when you first play it, you kind of don't like it. Because when I first played like Isaac, I don't know if I like this.
I kind of hate this a little.
Yeah, and then you get into it and you're like, this is a really good game.
It's like, okay, this is one where I unlock items. All right, okay, cool. I just got a super overpowered. All right, yeah, this is great.
Wait, now I'm firing missiles from my back every time I swing my sword? Sure, why not?
Yeah, I can take that, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think I will agree, because I think as great as Dicey Dungeons is, I think you can look at Risk of Rain. I think it's a better package overall in nearly every way. So our top 5 is going in from 5 to 1: Dicey Dungeons, Risk of Rain, Void Bastards, Crypt of the Necrodancer, and still atop, Hand of Fate.
It's a good game.
As it should be.
It's a really good game.
The only thing that might kick it off the top is Hand of Fate 2. Yeah.
Hey, dude, we still haven't put Enter the Gungeon on the list yet, because how many episodes is that thing going to take?
That could be number 1 with a bullet.
Now we're done. So, Monkey, are you with me on vetoing Enter the Gungeon as one of the choices
Wait a minute.
for this list?
No, don't veto for a dad joke. No. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, our final game of 2019 is the recently released Legend of Bumbo. We'll be playing 4 weeks of that, and then probably a lot more in the background, but no one's going to stop us. And I think that's it. So we'll see you all next run.
Bye.
Bye.